is different. So tonight we're going to talk about the perspectives black versus white. We're going to have a real life conversation tonight. We're going to talk about all the different things from black to white. We're going to talk about Trump threatening governors around the country to use military force. We're going to talk about COVID-19 and how it has seemingly disappeared since the video of George Floyd was released. We're even going to go as far as to talk about Carol Baskins and LeBron James and some other influencers out there that have made some statements in regards to what's going on in the world today. We're going to talk about Nike and Adidas and how some other brands have been really stepping up and stepping out in a way that we've never seen from businesses before. On top of all of that, we're going to talk about the real life subjects, things like white privilege. We're going to talk about things like Black Lives Matter. We're going to talk about the socioeconomic injustices that are going on in the world. We're going to talk about all of these things, and we're going to do it with the millionaire maker, Mrs. Danelle Delgado. We're also going to do it with finance expert Shaka Dyson. We're going to do it with my very good friend, corporate VP of Industry Relations, Mrs. Kerri Wise. And of course, we're going to do it with the bull and the shark, Mr. Judge Graham and Matt Manero. We're going to do all of those things tonight in one of the most unique conversations you've ever seen in the history of social media. I hope you will join us. I hope you will open your minds and your hearts as we discuss the issues that are at hand in America today. I'm excited that you're here. Go ahead and share, hit the share button, invite your friends for tonight's episode of Lions, Sharks, and Bulls. Lions, Sharks, Bulls. The #1 online business show designed to help you scale your business and advance your career. With Judge Graham, serial digital marketing entrepreneur who has built and sold not one, but two multiple 9-figure businesses. Matt Manero, business tycoon who has led his company to over $1 billion in business. And your host, Glenn Lundy, husband to 1, father to 7, and 20-year automotive professional who led his team to achieve 800% growth and become the second largest used car franchise dealer in America. Strap in and prepare to launch your success as you learn from the Lions, Sharks, and Bulls of business.
Can't get enough of Judge Matt and Glenn? If you're looking for more, look no further than the Lions, Sharks, and Bulls Facebook page. Head on over to facebook.com/Lions, Sharks, Bulls or search Lions, Sharks, Bulls in the Facebook search bar and make sure to like the page and turn on notifications so you don't miss out on extra content that you may not catch during the show.
The only reason we're here is to make sure that you got a voice. That's it.
There we go.
Don't think for a second that he represents who these cops are from all over the county and around this nation. We go out there to help people, not do that nonsense.
There we
I
go.
want to tell you, where's my man? Right there. Where's the gentleman?
Oh, I think he took off.
Okay, yeah, my man.
He took off.
Pastor Hawkins, see, I was going to tell you, we want to be with y'all for real. So I took my helmet off and laid the batons down. I want to make this a parade, not a protest. You got little ones here, you got dogs, so what's up? So listen, I'm just telling you, these cops love you. That cop over there hugs people, so you tell us what you need to do.
Walk with us! 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 Walk with us!
Let's walk. Let's walk.
Sheriff Chris Watson, sorry. Go!
Welcome back to Lions, Sharks, and Bulls. I was just informed that the title on today's show still says David Meltzer, which I changed that, but we've been under a little bit of spiritual warfare here tonight. We're not going to be talking with David Meltzer. As a matter of fact, we're going to be talking with Danelle Delgado, Kerri Wise, Shaka Dyson, and we're going to be talking about perspective tonight, black versus white. a real life conversation. Now, for the podcast that will run this a little bit later, I want to make sure to introduce everybody. And when I introduce them, I'm going to introduce them by who they are and also by their color, because that's what we're going to be talking about tonight. And so I want to make sure that if you're not watching on video, you're only listening by audio, that you can get an idea of all of the different people that we have in the room. So tonight on Lions, Sharks, and Bulls, we do have my dear friend, my coach, my mentor, and wonderful superhuman, a Caucasian woman who has biracial children, Mrs. Danelle Delgado. We've also got my man, Mr. Shaka Dyson, finance expert, an African-American man who grew up in Indianapolis. Then we've got Kerri Wise. She's an African-American woman, absolutely beautiful, head to toe, currently resides in Los Angeles, California, and I call her the corporate queen. She's the VP. She's the boss. Then, of course, we've got Judge Graham, Matt Manero. If you've watched their show before, you should know who they are. A couple of white guys out of Texas doing their thing. And then, of course, there's me, Glenn Lundy. My father is black. My mother is white, and I'm super excited to be here on Lions, Sharks, and Bulls. Now, that's a really interesting and awkward intro. Not how we normally do it, pointing out everybody's skin tones. But tonight we're going to get real and we're going to get raw. And as we start, I'm going to ask all of my panelists, Danelle, Shaka, Kerri, Judge, and Matt, we have an opportunity to do something here tonight that's never been done before. We're going to come together and look at things from each individual's perspectives, and we're going to talk about the topics that are going on right now, that are causing controversy across the United States. Now, as we have these discussions, I'm going to ask you to do me a huge favor, if you would, please. I don't want your political stance. I don't want the polished view. I want your truth. That's all I'm asking from each of you. Share with me your truth, not what you think people want to hear or what you think you should say. As we talk through this, I need truth through the eyes of your life and your experience. I believe if we speak truth tonight, respectfully, as a group of professionals, that we can actually make an impact. We can make a massive impact on this planet, and this is maybe one of our last opportunities to do so. So if you guys will join me tonight, let's share our truths. We're going to start off with a segment called 720. This is how I like to get things warmed up. And the way the 720 works is pretty simple. We're going to go around the horn and talk about some trending topics that are going on out in the United States and around the world today. You're going to have 3 minutes. You can see that big fat clock right there in the middle. We're going to have 3 minutes to discuss as a team, as a group, to discuss these different topics. Now, once we get done with the 720, we're going to come around and we're going to start talking about some of those buzzwords that you hear today. Words like white privilege, Black Lives Matter, I don't see color. We're going to have conversations about all that. But to get things warmed up, the first thing I want to point this first one over at Kerri Wise. Miss Kerri Wise, welcome to Lions, Sharks, and Bulls. How are you?
Thank you for having me.
I'm so glad you're here. Kerri, I got a quick question for you. All right, Trump, and everybody can chime in. Just let Kerri lead off, all right? So Trump threatened governors around the country. He's threatened to use military force to end these protests, the rioting, and the looting that's going on across the country. My question to you is, from your perspective, is this the right move, or has he crossed the boundaries of patriotism?
I am concerned about just a national presence of the National Guard. I think it's going to depend on the area. I think that in certain cities, it might be called for, right, if violence gets to that level. But I think that it was premature at the point that he mentioned it to throw on the National Guard. And I would say that regardless of your political affiliation right now, we need our leaders to bring empathy, understanding, acknowledge the anger out there versus, throw in the military. Mm-hmm. And I think tone is everything. You have tactics like using the National Guard, but I think the mistakes we're making is that we're not using the right tone, and people are going to get defensive when your solution is the military instead of understanding, empathy, realizing the true anger out there and the root of the problem. So I think it was a little premature to make that call across the country, but I'm open to it on a regional basis if it's necessary.
Yeah. Judge, Matt, Shaka,
Yeah,
Danelle?
listen, I think I would agree from a case by case basis, but to me, there's a big difference between peaceful protesting and then looting and rioting, right? And if the local government can't get that under control, we as Americans, all of us, take away political views, take away race, we've got to protect the small businesses, the economy, the people the civilians that are good, that the small percent, which I believe of looters and rioters that are bad, right, that are doing this. And if the local government can't stop, we've got to go in there and take a stand to help our fellow Americans out.
Mm-hmm. I think we got to be careful, though, when we discuss military intervention, what the question was. I think I don't think that you'll find anybody who disagrees with you as far as peaceful protesters and rioters and looters and all of those people who come and cause destruction. But I think we got to be concerned whenever you talk about interjecting the military of the United States into the cities and the towns of this country, because what's to say it stops there, right? So
there's a
big picture.
Yeah, and also there's a substantial mental shift between a police officer who's there to protect and serve and a military personnel who's there they've been trained to attack and conquer, right?
Totally.
Big difference mentally, protect and serve versus attack and conquer. So I think that's pretty scary.
Agreed.
Trump missed a big opportunity there. He had a tremendous opportunity to show empathy in an environment where we needed to hear it, and he missed it. That was a huge mistake. Whether nobody can get through to him anymore and get in his ear and give him appropriate counsel, but he missed an opportunity to bring the country together in that speech. That was the wrong commentary at the wrong time.
Yeah,
the tact was poorly done for sure.
I think you're right. Danelle Delgado, I got a question for you, young lady.
Yes, sir.
COVID-19 has seemingly disappeared since the video of George Floyd was released. The narrative shifted so quickly. Like it's crazy how quickly the narrative shifted. So it poses the question, what is a bigger threat to America right now? Civil injustice or COVID-19?
Okay, I think, well, that's obvious, right? It's injustice. It's pain that erupted from one more move of something that hasn't, the real root and the real solution has not ever been brought to the forefront. So it's never been solved. So every single time it comes to the forefront, it gets worse, right? No solution, just talking. As Kerri started talking, I go, absolutely. So what's the solution for the anger? How do you get to the bottom of it? I'm having to have conversations with my children that I've never had to have before, about them wondering why things should be different. And it's incredible. It's the greatest time in the world for us to have these conversations where I can explain and we can create unity and we can do all of these things and explain things. I was talking to my son who, had from the mouths of babes, right? Who says, I don't understand, right? I don't understand why this is racism. This was just his commentary, right? Watching the news at his dad's house, he goes, that just looks like a terrible human. And I go, from the mouths of babes, right? But we have all of this injustice that people have literally forgotten about COVID in every single form because there's a bigger problem. Right. There's a bigger problem that needs a solution. And I think voices are out there, speaking so loudly their truth rather than working together to let everybody share and be open to learn how we solve it, how we fix it, how we remedy the situation.
Yeah. Judge,
is there one? You guys think that? Honestly, is there one?
Is it
One love, unity,
what?
absolutely. Are you talking about solutions?
Yeah.
100%. I mean, we got to act like we know, right? We got to act like we got to put. We have to stop sweeping this thing under the rug. We have to address it. We have to approach everything with unity, with love, with one love. We can't allow race to be a factor anymore, right? And when you see it, you have to address it. We can't. We got to stop pretending like it don't exist, like it's off to the side because it won't affect me. When you see it, you must address it.
Yeah.
Right. You must correct it. That's how you fix it. Right.
I agree.
One person by one person by one person, but we can fix this thing.
Yeah. And
Right.
just-
But as long as we keep acting like it don't exist, as long as we keep sweeping it under the rug, and as long as we keep moving forward and not being our authentic selves, man, it's gonna be that 800-pound gorilla in the room.
Yeah.
I'm telling you.
No doubt. No doubt. I agree 100%. I think it's really interesting that we shut our entire country down over a virus that was affecting a very small percentage of humans, but yet we've been running as a country for 400 years knowing what has been happening to black people. I am
Well, the key word is knowing. You said knowing,
Right.
and I don't know if that's the case. I've had many of my friends that are shocked at what they saw
Yeah, you know
in
what?
this case,
You're right,
and I'm
yeah.
not shocked. I'm not shocked. So I think that is the problem. When you say knowing, there's different levels of understanding when it
Yeah.
comes to racism, particularly if you've never experienced it or known anybody close to you that has.
Yeah. I think you're right, Kerri.
That is the challenge.
I think you're right. I
Right
think
there.
it's way more awareness, or the
Yeah.
awareness. I am shocked by the lack of awareness as well. I am too.
Yeah.
And I took responsibility for that. I think that's my fault. And I think that's why we're here tonight, and we're going to talk more about it. I'm going to go to the next question. We're going to start diving in to some of this deeper stuff here in just a second. But I do want to hit these trending topics over here on Google. Now, this is going to sound a little off the wall here, but stick with me for just a second. Carol Baskin from the Tiger King was just awarded the self-proclaimed Tiger King Joe Exotic's Big Cat Sanctuary. She got it. She got the whole thing on Monday. Now, in response, she did. She got the whole thing. It was given to her. Now, in response to Joe's in response, Joe
That's
Exotic,
injustice right there.
Yeah. Well, in response to that, Joe Exotic tweeted on his page. He said, and I love this. He said, "Carol Baskin taking my zoo is a tragedy, and we're going to get to that. But today is a day to stand in solidarity with those that have been hurt, killed, and worse because they're standing up for what they believe in." And I love that was his response. Now, Joe Exotic and other celebrities and names, including LeBron James, they've released statements regarding George Floyd's murder. What role do the celebrities and the leaders, the people with voices, what role do they play in this whole thing? And do they and others like them share a responsibility to use those platforms to be a part of this solution? What do you think about that, Shaka?
I absolutely believe that they should use their platform. I mean, we've got, how many thousands of the youth out there protesting in the street right now. I'm not talking about the looters and rioters, but I'm talking about those who are using themselves and their voices out there, using their platforms. They got people like us, all 5 or 6 of us, using our platform, right? So they should absolutely use their platform. They, instead of playing it safe, they should use their platform to bring us all together. I mean, they take money from every race, don't they?
Yeah.
They get fans from every race, don't they? So now they can use their voice to bring every race together. So I absolutely believe that they should use their platform.
Now, what about somebody like, you remember Charles Barkley back in the day? Barkley,
Sure.
they used to be like, I am not a role model, right? Like,
Sure.
just because I'm famous, just because I'm this, doesn't mean I have a responsibility to serve. What would you say to somebody like that, Judge?
Listen, I think it is a responsibility. I think it's the cross you bear, right? I mean, if you become an influencer and you have influence, then you have to give your perspective, right? Now, that may not be the perspective that everybody wants, but you have to give that perspective, and you've got to use that influence because people are watching you, right? And so the level of empathy, in my opinion, and how you approach topics, you've got to understand that people follow you and they believe in you, and what you say to certain people becomes gospel. So you need to choose your words wisely.
Yeah, and I think it's really a rare opportunity to make a big impact. One more on the 720, then we're going to dive into some of these other questions, coffee table style. Matt Manero, Nike and Adidas have been making some noise with their response to the murder of George Floyd and the rioting across the country. Now, brands traditionally will avoid hot button political topics in their advertising and marketing, but in recent years, that's become a lot more difficult. So consumers from the younger generation, they want to see their values reflected in the brands that they buy. So has this adage of staying quiet because 50% are going to hate you, 50% are going to love you, is that adage thrown out the window now when it comes to our businesses?
Look, I might be scorned, but I don't believe any of it. I believe the only reason they do it is to sell more product. I don't believe those companies have any interest in actually doing anything to fix this problem that exists. They're just doing it. Call me scorned, call me a little burned, whatever, but I don't believe any of it. I think it's all playing the game to sell more product. The question is, the real reality is I have no perspective on this. I drive down the street. I never worried about getting pulled over. And if I did, I wouldn't be worried about it. So Glenn, if you've had it, or Shaka, or you had it, or Kerri, you've had those concerns driving down the street, I cannot relate to you in that capacity. Certainly when you see, that dirty, disgusting, filthy cop, who I hope he stays alive till he goes to jail, and the inmates that he's surrounded with kill him like a dog for what he did. I hope he pays so violently for that. Incredible. But to think that Nike throwing X number of dollars at it, or for that matter, even a fancy celebrity or athlete doing it, listen, I'm scorned in that capacity, but that's all about the money.
Wow.
No,
Opportunistic.
we need a Kareem to come back to help with this. If we really want to talk about a celebrity, you need somebody to fully stand up and fight it with a passion that they will give up their career for this cause. And I just don't see that level of intensity, but I think it's going to take that stuff. But the reality is, on this show tonight, for what you're asking for, Glenn, I don't have that perspective. I never had the fear of being pulled over by a cop and being discriminated against because of my skin color.
Matt, brother, I hadn't even, thank you for being honest and real about that. What a way for us, I'm going to clear this clock. What a way for us to really start getting into the seriousness of what we've got going on. I think we're warmed up enough. We're going to be right back in just a second. We're going to be talking about white privilege. We're going to be talking about Black Lives Matter. We're going to be talking about I don't see color and all of the other hot topics that are going on in America today. Stick with us. We'll be back in just a couple minutes with Lions, Sharks, and Bulls. Hello? Dude, I'm telling you. I am telling you. Danelle, you know. Welcome back. to Lions, Sharks, and Bulls. We're getting ready to dive in. I've got my dear friends here. I've got, I thought I cleared this clock. I have my dear friends here, people from all walks of life. And we're getting ready to have a real life conversation. And what I want to do is I want to basically welcome the audience, those of you that are watching online. I want to welcome you in. I want to bring you into the room, but I do want you to understand that the 5 people I'm in this room with are 5 of my nearest and dearest friends. I love them all deeply. They've all done something for me, impacted my life, shaped me, helped me to grow, and helped me to develop in some way, shape, or another. I would trust every single one of them in my home, with my wife, with my children, with my money. I love them. And I love them dearly. And what I want to do is I want to have a conversation with my friend Kerri, my friend Judge, my friend Shaka, my friend Danelle, and my friend Matt. And we're going to welcome you in. You're welcome to listen in on this conversation. But Matt, Kerri, Danelle, Shaka, Judge, please, let's just share our truths as if no one was in the room. Can we do that? Let's share our truths as if no one was in the room. The way that I want to start this is there's a lot of buzzwords that go on and that are going on and have been going on for a really long time. And I've always thought it was really interesting. I've been put in a unique position in my life where sometimes I feel like I get to be this bridge. I've had 2 white parents, 2 black parents. I grew up in 2 different cultures. And so I can see things from a lot of different perspectives. I've been in jail. I've been homeless. I've been broke. All of those things, right? And so I feel like I get to be a bridge, but I don't always get to see things through the eyes of someone who's not me. Right? I think a lot of us don't get to see things through the eyes of someone who's not me. So I'm going to start, and we're just going to go around the horn a little bit. So I'm going to start, let's start with, I'm going to go with Judge. I'm going to go with Judge. Judge Graham, when you hear from your eyes and your perspective, let's give a little background, right? You grew up, played football at, where'd you play football?
I wish Alabama. TCU.
TCU.
I'll take Alabama.
In my mind, you're like, you're
Just go with it. Just go with
right?
it.
So played football, TCU. I know from our conversations that you grew up, you were kind of a minority in the situation you were in, right? Like you were the only white guy in the room in a lot of situations. You've built success. You're a tremendous digital marketing company. You've done really, really well in life. What comes to your mind when you hear the words white privilege?
What comes to mind? I think Matt framed that up. I mean, I have no idea what it's like to be targeted by the police, right? I mean, that's not a perspective or thing, that I worried about, right? Unless I was, younger and I was, drinking or driving or doing something I wasn't supposed to do. It was more an awareness, but it wasn't a worry, right? I don't know what it's like not to, have access to the same type of education, right? When we talk about how are you going to do solutions and how do you change this, I think there has to be, policies and reform that relate to law enforcement. I think there has to be equal opportunity for education, right? I mean, America is the land of opportunity, and we as Americans should get everybody that fair advantage to then get to that, in my mind, that capitalist mentality, right? But we got to level the playing field, and that starts with, reforming those areas and proper education, right? You give everybody the same opportunity, and then you let the cards play out how they play out. But unfortunately, that's not how it's playing out.
Mm-hmm. And I get that, and I get that those are some solutions. I want to point more towards, do you feel like and I know what you haven't been through. I get that. And I know you're a caring person, a kind person, and a passionate person. But when someone comes to you, a guy who's fought his way to the top, that's climbed through success, that's put in all the work, all the hours, so on and so forth. When someone comes to you and says white privilege, what does that make you feel inside? Not what is the solution or what is the other side of it, but what does that mean to you? Do you feel like you have had and you are where you are because of the color of your skin?
Listen, I think I've had different opportunities, but I think I've clawed and fought for everything that I have, right? But I think it gets back to stating, do I believe I probably had better access to education? Yes. Do I believe I had no worries about, the police? Yes. I mean, so when I say white privilege, I think by default there's some advantages there, right? There was a great video that talked about white privilege and what happens like that. I mean, you look at statistics, right? I mean, both of my parents are still together. I mean, there's a lot of things that when you say white privilege, I think I've experienced, and by default, that gives me an advantage.
Sure.
Right. So how much of that advantage got me to my success? I couldn't quantify that. But yeah, I think out of the start, right? If you're running a track race, I had a head start for sure in the 100-yard dash.
Yeah, no doubt. Shaka Dyson, when you hear the words white privilege, what is it? What is your perspective on that?
My perspective is, first off, I don't want any white person today or in my network or people that I know to feel guilty. Number one, for having it. It's not them. It's not their fault, right? It's the system that was long before they got here. So white privilege isn't something that they should apologize for. It's just something that they should understand, right? So understanding is what will get this level field, this playing field level. But white privilege is not having the history in the country like every year we have to watch the documentaries and go through the history of all of the racial disparities and the fire hoses and the dogs and the slavery. That's white privilege. White privilege is not having your first African-American president needing to show his birth certificate to prove that he's an American. That's white privilege. White privilege is everybody who runs a business or corporation, not everybody, but most, looks like you, right? So you get the benefit of the doubt. That's white privilege, right? White privilege is getting pulled over. Everybody's going to use the getting pulled over analogy, but getting pulled over and trusting that the person that looks like you that's pulling you over is going to give you the benefit of the doubt and you'll survive getting pulled over. That's white privilege, right? White privilege is knowing or being in, it's like Judge said, having more opportunity or access to opportunity that maybe somebody that doesn't look like you doesn't have. That's white privilege, right? So, but the very first point I wanted to point out is I don't believe that not one white brother or sister that I have should apologize for having it. Yeah. It's not them. They didn't do it, right? So I just think that they have the responsibility to understand. That's it. That's just like the rest of us, and then we all work together. That's what I think.
And I love that you yes, go ahead, Kerri.
Sorry, I if I could just jump in too. I read something that really described white privilege really well, and it says white privilege doesn't mean that your life hasn't been hard. It means your skin tone isn't one of the things that makes it harder. So there's plenty of other privileges. There's socioeconomic privileges. Being a man is a privilege. Being a heterosexual is a privilege. But white privilege has been around probably and has been the most enduring privilege through the history of the United States of America. Yeah. So, so I think it's just like, I think I agree with Shaka that it's just understanding that privilege. I have privileges. I'm Black. I don't have white privilege, but I do have socioeconomic privilege. Sure. And to me, the biggest crime is when you don't use your privilege to help other people. Amen. It's living with your privilege and having an arrogance that, just your hard work got you there. I loved what Judge Graham said in terms of like his understanding. Yeah. Because to me, that's what we need. We just need an understanding that, listen, it wasn't just my hard work that got me here. I was born in Silicon Valley. Right. That's a privilege, just right there. Right. And as long as I give back, I'm not going to apologize for that. Yeah. As long as I can give back and help other people that don't have my privilege.
I love it. And I love how you tackled and said, don't feel guilty about it, right? Don't feel guilty, because I know that a lot of my friends, especially in the last, 10 days, they've reached out and they're like, oh my gosh, I am so sorry. Like, I am embarrassed. I have heard that from multiple of my white friends. I am embarrassed to be white right now, right? Like, I've gotten that, and it's like, I appreciate that sentiment, and I love you for that. But it's not a guilt thing, 100%. Danelle, when you hear those words, what is your perspective on that?
Danelle, we lost your audio.
No audio. Can't hear you.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
I think what's important for me to say is just the truth. Like, I'm talking to you on the phone, Glenn. Like, when I called, I think the hard part sometimes is to see everyone, all of my friends, to see every color and every asset, and try to feel so much at my core like I want to help be a part of the solution. But when we speak, it's arrogance and fear because we're afraid that something we could say, we don't understand it.
Right.
I am privileged. I have been. I have a biracial family that I didn't know racism existed until I went to get married. And it was my family. And I had no clue about it. And I look at it and I'm afraid, as someone who sees everybody with equal love, that I'm going to speak out with not the right understanding and say something like every life matters and not know how it hurts Black Lives Matters and have and get smacked in the face and go, oh my God, I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
So let's understand that there are some white people trying to fight who are privileged and we don't know. So I just want to put that out there and go, great. May we all be open to learn and shut our mouths until we know.
That's really good.
That is really good. And Danelle, I know that you're not, I love you dearly, first of all. And I know that you're not alone in that. I was having a conversation with a friend of mine earlier, and he was telling me, like, I don't talk about it because I'm afraid that I will say something and you will now think I'm racist, or someone's going to think I'm racist. And I was like, you're not a racist. Like, you're clearly not a racist. And he was like, yeah, but I'm afraid that I'll just say one wrong thing and I'll be labeled that way. Matt Manero, white privilege. Weigh in on this, my man.
Well, I never heard anybody frame it the way Shaka framed it. And so when you frame it like that, it educates me on the topic, because I would have probably answered the question originally the way Judge did, which was that, I've had to work for everything too. So that was great perspective for me. I can tell you though that, not trying to find solutions for it, but everybody that's in business has the same opportunity, which is, and there's a lot of things that I hate about my businesses. I've made tremendous mistakes. We've had successes too, but I am freaking relentless to help the underdog. And I don't care where you come from. And that is the strategy that we employ at my company. And I hope it goes down as a legacy item for me, that I don't care where you come from. I heard Condoleezza Rice on an interview one time. And for those of you who may know her backstory, she came from really, really tough upbringing. And she said, it doesn't matter where you come from, it matters where you're going.
Yeah.
And man, that hit me like a lightning bolt. The downside to that, though, is it's easier said than done, because fixing mindset and fixing what you see in your environment is unbelievably difficult. It's easy to talk about on social, but the reality is it's brutal to fix. And so it's not just saying, well, I'll give you a shot. And some people don't even know that they even should take a shot. They've never seen anybody take a shot, so why would they take a shot?
Yeah.
They don't even know if they could come and get a shot at my place. So we're talking about heavy stuff here tonight. I'm deeply moved by the conversation. That doesn't matter about the white or black thing. It's just, I appreciate being with people that are educating me and helping me see different sides.
Amen, brother.
Love that, man. Love it. This is what I'm talking about.
Is that best, that we open our mouths to speak in kindness and what we know, so it opens a conversation to learn, right? Better than us being silent if we're just uneducated.
I think that everybody is responsible in some ways to educate themselves. I think part of it, I've been doing a lot of education over the last 2 days. I am at a point right now where I have a list of, I'm just going to say it, stupid responses that people are posting on this topic. And I have had to repeat the same answers so much that I've had to document my answers to copy and paste them.
Right.
It's just like same answer. And I don't mind that. I have a lot of empathy, but at the same time, we also have to take some self-responsibility to educate ourselves.
Right.
And I would say that one of the challenges, and I'm just going to make a generalization, and I'm asking you, I'm going to ask you, Judge, I'm asking you, Matt, I'm asking you, Danelle. Many of my white friends were not raised in households where they talked about race at all. Like race was just avoided as a topic. And if I ask my Black friends, race is actually talked about a lot. And so I feel like that is part of the divide, that now when you have to talk about race, it's an uncomfortable thing because you really didn't grow up having to talk about it. I'm asking you guys, did you guys talk about race in your household?
Yeah, I did. I don't know about Matt and Danelle. I for sure did. And I also, again, the high school I went to, it was predominantly Black.
Okay.
Right.
Different.
So,
different.
yeah, well, I would say I'm different or whatever, but I've always looked at, I've never, and this is going to sound cliche, right? Because it's the token, white guy on the show saying this. I've never looked at it
That's
as
your
racist,
role, sir. That's
right.
your role.
Yeah, it's my role tonight, right? I literally look at just winning, right? I don't care what sexuality you are, what color you are, dude. I want to freaking win. And I can honestly tell you, Kerri, that that's how I've always viewed everything, right? Whether it's on the football field, whether it's in the boardroom, I want to surround myself with whoever I believe can win. And it's been agnostic for me for sex, religion, race. But listen, I know it exists. I want to be very clear. I'm aware of it. I know it's a systemic problem, but my vantage and my view of it, I think I have at least, some perspective that I haven't been that way.
Yeah. And I want to touch on both of these things. Danelle, from my perspective, I say yes, 100%. Kerri is right. We got to educate ourselves some. But I think going to the people that you love and your trusted friends and asking questions is great. I think posting on social media with an assumptive type question, not a good idea, right? Like, hey, we're not even going to put out some of the things. I know what Kerri's talking about, right? There's topics. So I think that there's a safe way to do that. I want my friends to reach out to me and ask those hard questions. I really do. And not be afraid that, I'm going to come off racist or I sound dumb or any of those things. But
Glenn,
just don't post it.
Glenn, let me ask you a question. And Judge, I say this with love in my heart, man. I know Judge, and I love him with all my heart. But I look at it the same way as Judge. And Glenn, do you think that that's a naive way of looking at it? That it's just not that easy to say, hey, man, you want to win, right? Well, come with me, man. Ride my coattails. Let's go. Let's win together. Do you think that's a naive way of looking at race?
I don't want to say naive. I want to say that there's another side of it. See, you guys were, if you look back, generations, right? If you go way back, African Americans, Blacks, whatever word you want to use. I'm not even sure which one we're supposed to use right now, Kerri. It goes back and forth.
Black.
We're going with Black, right? Shaka, are we rolling with Black or African American right now? I'm not sure. But no matter how far back, like if you look back, we're so far behind as far as some of the little cultural things that you don't even think about, right? So Black people have been allowed to like own real land, not real land, not ghetto land, but like real land for about 50 years. All right. White people have been owning land for 400 years. There's a mindset that's different when you own your home versus when you rent your home, right? There's a pride that comes from when you own land, or there's tradition, there's heritage, there's all these things. So what you're dealing with now is you have a generation of people that are we're 50 years into this game where we're trying to develop wealth, pass down good habits, develop generational wealth, winning habits, winning mindsets, winning mentalities. We're 50 years in, you're 450 years in. So the way that your mind thinks about winning and getting after it and so on and so forth is different.
Yeah.
It's just culturally different because you've been, whether your daddy was a good daddy or not a good daddy, or mommy was, none of that really matters. Ultimately, you as a culture, you as the white race, you've been taught and picked up things over the years that we haven't yet. We just haven't. So most black people, like they even did studies on this where like kids will want the white doll. Black kids want the white doll. White kids want the white doll. Black women typically feel ugly. Growing up, they feel ugly. They don't feel like they're as beautiful. They feel less than. Black men feel like they have to fight their way up. If you look society-wise, who are the black men that are on TV? Rappers, ballers, right? Who are the white men that are on TV? Bezos, Gates, right? So even from the time that we're little, we're predisposed to a different idea of what a winning mentality and a winning work ethic looks like than you are. So I'm not saying you're naive. I'm just saying you're not going to be able to just right out the gate find someone who can think and run like you. It's going to take time. It's going to take conversations. You're going to have to mentor them. You're going to have to teach them. You're going to have to break some old limiting beliefs that they might have about themselves, right? And I'm not saying everyone is like this, because it's all about how you grow up and how you develop. Obviously, I've got some drive, but it took me a while to get here. I know Shaka's got some drive, but it took him a while to get here. Shaka's got some stories. Shaka's been through some stuff. He's had multiple family members that have been murdered, right? How many of your family members murdered or in jail, Shaka?
Yeah. Well, 6 have been murdered, but I didn't want to bring my background into this. I didn't want it to be that kind of narrative.
It's important though to understand, the differences.
Here's a perspective I'll give you. So let me give you a generational perspective. For generations, white people have been passing down wealth from generation to generation, right? They've been passing it down generation to generation. Well, black people and African-American generations have been passing down freedom. It's been a fight for freedom from generation to generation. My grandmother had less freedoms than my mother did. My mother had less freedoms than I do now, right? My grandmother's grandmother had less freedoms than her. So the disparity is from generation to generation. One group has been passing down wealth. One group has been passing down freedom. That's a perspective. It's not that. It's like you're saying. It's not that you can't win. Not like Judge. I mean, it's not like you can't hop on that train and win. Because Glenn, I think, and Kerri, we're all a part of that.
Right.
But like we start way back in the back. Like they fought to just sit in front of the bus. We start way back, and then we eventually get up there.
Yeah.
I would say also that, we all have bias. So when you talk about winning and what it takes to win, you have a definition of that. And a lot of times that definition ties to who you are.
So we're going to shift gears just a little bit. I'm going to go over to, let's start with Danelle. I felt like I haven't heard from Danelle in just a little bit. Danelle, when you hear the words, from your perspective, when you hear the words Black Lives Matter, how does that make you feel?
Yeah. Well, I think most of it recently has just made me cry in uncertainty, right? Like, just honestly, it hurts because I've been such a passionate promoter of my children and everybody, seeing everyone for everything they can bring to the table. I've been doing some reading on this very statement because I was uneducated on it and I was learning. I asked one of my friends, I said, send me information so I understand this and I speak correctly, because I was like, every life should matter. But it makes, it makes an entire group of people feel like what they went through was not honored to be together. And so as I was listening to you guys talk tonight, I'm like educating myself in my head going, Danelle, you've messed up in not educating your children because you weren't educated about race in your household. Mm-hmm. That you're raising children who are biracial to think that everyone is equal, and that is not a fact proven by what we're seeing.
Yeah.
So it's almost like we got to take this pendulum to push it way over here and have all of us understand Black Lives Matter. Let me tell you what they have been through so that we make sure we eradicate this together as a family, rather than thinking if we're not calling attention to the separation that we're actually equality, because that is the lie that I have believed.
Yeah.
And that is incorrect. So it hurts me to think that I haven't fully supported putting that out there, because I was thinking it was creating more separation, but that was just me not understanding how to teach my family and my people correctly to say, I can't, like, I literally felt stupid saying Black Lives Matter as a white person, because I was like, now I feel terrible, right? Like, I don't want to associate with either side in this.
Sure.
Nobody's rioting and looting. I want unity and love and passion and fire, and I want my kids loving all people. But by not educating, it's like push the pendulum over here. Push, tell them, teach, show, to make it come back to the middle of unity. That's what I think I was missing.
Yeah, I love that, and I love how you touched on, you don't really want to pick a side. It's like all lives matter type thing. I've always wondered, I understand Black Lives Matter. I know why that's the chant. I know that why that's a challenge, right? I understand that, but I wonder, Matt Manero, I want to sit in your shoes for just a second. I want to get behind your eyeballs, and so when you hear Black Lives Matter, does that make you feel as though we're saying white lives don't? I've always wanted to ask that question.
No, I never feel that way towards it at all, ever, ever, ever. I mean, the statement doesn't do much for me either way, in full truthfulness. I mean, I wouldn't care if there's a sign that says Black Lives Matter or White Lives Matter. It's really irrelevant to me. And if there's one thing I'm struggling with tonight is my own opinion on it, because I truly see it the way Judge sees it. I just want to win. And I want to take as many people as I can with me. And if you feel as though you're an underdog and you're self-aware enough to recognize that you feel like an underdog, then you want to be on my team. So I don't have distinction between white lives matter or Black lives matter. But let me be frank about it. I've had to work on that. I have literally had to say, this person in my office is not a Black person. This person is somebody on my team. And that may be real raw, but it's the truth. I have had to work on that concept that I am no longer seeing color in front of me. I'm seeing somebody who's on my team working on the same mission. And I personally think that's a very helpful process. I think it's very important to work, to fight, and to believe. Believe is the word, not post on social, to believe that you do not see that. And that may be Pollyanna or unicornish, but it is true in my experience of me.
And I
Glenn?
Go ahead, Kerri. Yeah.
I'm sorry. Can I jump in?
Me and you, Kerri.
Here's the thing, and it's a little bit of a pet peeve of mine.
Yep, mine
and
too.
the statement, I don't see color.
Yep.
I don't agree with that. And I see color. Yeah. And I see color all the time. And you know why I see color is because when I speak at a conference, I'm the only one. Yeah. I'm the only Black person in the room. Yes. And when you are the only one, you will see color.
Yes.
And so if I had you walk into a woman's conference, you can't tell me you're not going to see gender. You're going to notice gender if you're the only guy. And so I want you to understand that as a white man, that is part of your privilege, is not seeing color in some ways, because in many cases you're part of the majority. I don't think there's any problem you identifying me as a Black woman in your department. I don't think there's any problem with that.
Right.
there's no problem with seeing color, in my opinion. Color and diversity is beautiful. And with our color and with our ethnicities comes cultural differences that I actually want to honor and see. But what we're really trying to say is that we don't judge people because of their color. That's really the statement.
Right.
I see color. I just don't, it doesn't matter to me in terms of how I judge you.
Right.
It's great. So it's a great adjustment.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
but if it's a start in the right direction, maybe in your opinion it's a start in the wrong direction.
Yeah.
Maybe that is. But if it's not, if it's a start in the right direction, to me, it's the heart of some of the things that we're trying to really talk about tonight, which is, do we or do we not separate ourselves based on color? And I think you bring up an amazing point, but it's heavy stuff. It's the real crux of what we're talking about and what's happening out there. It's not, you're right, Kerri, 100% right. It's not good enough to just simply say it's you got to go deeper on it, and you got to say, I do see it and appreciate it, but I don't judge it.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right.
You know, the way I look at it, listen, all of us believe all lives matter, but right now we need to listen. Black lives matter, right? We need to listen to what Kerri's saying, what Shaka's saying, because we just don't have a grasp and understanding of it, right? We've got to educate ourselves more on this to understand that statement, because it is different.
Yeah, it definitely is. And Kerri and I, you know, I feel the same way. And even my, you know, my one of my best friends, you know, he messaged me the other day because I made a post about this. Like when I hear I don't see color, it makes me feel less than in my own skin. Like, why don't you want to see my skin? Should I be ashamed of my skin? That you don't even want to recognize that it's there, right? Like, that's how it makes me feel, even though I know that's not your intention. It's how it makes me feel. It'd be like you getting, you know, my wife getting her hair done and me not noticing she got her hair done, right? That's devastating. She's like, I went through all this work. This is beautiful to me. You don't even recognize it. My skin is beautiful. I love it. I want you to see it. I want you to see my color. I also want you to see that I worked my freaking tail off, maybe against harder odds, to be able to get where I am today. I want you to see that too, right? I want you to see.
Kerri, Glenn, I'm sorry to interrupt, but Kerri, let me ask you a question. How often in your career have you had to have the conversation that you and I just had about seeing it or judging it? Because how often are people talking about it? You are the only person in my entire life who has ever given me that perspective on it.
I gotta say that I don't always correct everybody when it comes to that, because at the end of the day, I knew what you were trying to say. So when I correct you, it means I really care.
Right.
But I knew what you were I knew what you were trying to say. But I do think, kind of going back to even raising kids, that it's not the right thing to raise kids to not see color. It's just to see the beauty of it. It's actually to remove, you know, the stereotypes when it comes to color. For me, I have to talk to my girls all the time about Black people and the types of professions that we can be. In other words, I need them to understand, and I need to deprogram them from what they might be fed on media and TV, which is be a dancer, a singer, a rapper, athlete, right? Which is kind of a given. And now I need them to see that there is a Black astronaut, or there is a mathematician or an entrepreneur. Because if I don't have those discussions or expose that to them, they might kind of jump to their own conclusions based on the media that is fed to them, if that makes sense. So I want them to see color and see the beauty and differences. Sorry, I'm getting off my spot.
No problem, Kerri. And my friend, when he messaged me, because I had made that post, like, don't tell me you don't see my color, like that offends me. When I made that post, he messaged me and he said, Glenn, I really don't see color. Like, he was adamant about it. He's like, I have never seen you as a Black man. Ever. I've only seen you as a champion. I've only seen you as a winner. I've only seen you as that, right? Like, adamantly. And so I just think it's really interesting, because I know the hearts, these are people that I love, and maybe me and you are wrong in the sense that maybe they really don't, but we do because we grew up having to see our color. We grew up walking into the church and realizing we're the only one in there standing on a stage. You know what I mean? So I think about that all the time because he was so adamant that he does not see color whatsoever. He only sees Glenn, that it had me thinking like, maybe this is one of those things, right? That my perspective is not necessarily real. It's only real to me. Danelle, you've been quiet. Shaka, you've been quiet.
Yeah, I think it's two different education systems that we come from. Your families raised you to be proud of your color, to fight for equality. They taught us to see people equally. So when we call out color, we feel like we're being racist. When if we don't see color, we feel like we're doing the right thing.
Wow.
So this is two different education systems.
Yes.
Yeah.
Good point.
So we need to fix how people are being raised then, because by what Matt said, that's how I was raised. Like, see people equally. Until I got married, I was welcomed to the real world of, are you sure? And I was like, should I not be? Right? Like,
Right.
so you guys were raised to love that. We weren't trained and raised to love that we're white.
Right.
That was not even a conversation at all. It was
So interesting.
see everyone as equal. So we don't love white, but what we need to be educated on is that we need to love the beauty of what you have come through because you are. That's just not how we were raised to see it.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know, there's beauty in the 13% of the population in this country. I mean, that's what you have to acknowledge when the original question was, how do you feel about Black Lives Matter? Well, you have to say that 13% of the population matters, right? And forever, right? Whether it be the books in the schools, whether it be the media, whether it be everyday interaction, 13% is not a lot when you talk about the other 70-something other percent of people who actually run the country or are in every facet of the country. You know,
Expert on tonight.
well, you got to take into account all the other races as well, champ.
Yeah.
Oh, the
Oh,
other-
good comeback.
Don't disregard any other race, man. We all matter, man. So, but at the end of the day, man, you know, it's paying attention, right? And it's saying, and it's not ignoring, it's not being naive, it's not pretending, right, that there is a disparity. It's acknowledging, like you're saying, you're acknowledging you're acknowledging that person that's in your office is not a color now. It's the acknowledgement of that, right? So that's you trying to take a step forward, right? If we could duplicate Danelle Delgado a few 100 million times, I mean, geez, what kind of great world would we live in? Because it would be a great world. It would be fantastic, right? But we have to be real about it. We have to acknowledge that the majority of us, right, white, black, or whoever, the majority of us are #OneLove. The majority of us want the greater good. The majority of us want to win, like Judge says. The majority of us. However, think about this for a second. Sunday is the most segregated day of the entire week. Would you agree? Yes or no?
Agree.
So think about this. The only perceptions lots of races get of other races is through the media. That's because they don't go to the other neighborhoods. White people don't go into the black neighborhoods, and black people don't go into the white neighborhoods. I happen to live in a white neighborhood, a golf course, swim, tennis community, right? So I am surrounded, right? When I'm on stage, I am surrounded by people who are not my race. When I was part of the corporate team for a large automotive group in this country, I was the only me.
Right.
Right. So I had to be conscious of what I said, what I did, how I acted, regardless as to what was going on or what was said. No matter if something bothered me or not, I had to be conscious, because if I acted like what people perceived in the media to be a black person that I know, then that's going to kill the next opportunity for the next African American. See,
that's right.
So we got to be conscious of those things, right? What is the perception when you just say the word gangster? What race? Right? Drug dealer? What race? Right? Thug? What race? Right? Now let's flip the script. Doctor? what race, right? Surgeon, what race, right? So it's just deprogramming and then reprogramming people. Conscious biasness doesn't happen because it's not just the big thing, it's the small ones as well.
Yeah.
Shaka, how does that start?
Conversation and acknowledgement, like Matt is having. It's conversation.
So is it conversations like this?
Yeah. So it's I'll tell you exactly how it happened.
Yeah.
Conversation, acknowledgement, and then correction. Right. When there's somebody behind some door, right, that's not out in the public somewhere, but it's behind closed doors. When they refer to a black person as an N-word, the correction has to happen.
Right.
When they refer to a black person as a thug, the correction has to happen. When there's a white person referred to as a racist, listen, the correction has to happen. In my home, it happens 100%. Right.
Great,
so it's not
perspective.
a we don't see color. It's a listen, I'm correcting it every chance, every turn that I get, because I refuse to be part of that narrative.
I would say exposure is also a solution.
Mm-hmm.
And I
What do you
think
mean
to
by that,
me,
Kerri?
the lack of exposure that people have to people that are different than them is a big problem.
Yeah.
If I asked you to take the 10 closest people in your life and don't count your family members, count your 10 closest friends, and then tell me their race, their gender, their religion, their political. If I had to guess, and I've done this in a big room of people, the majority of people are surrounded by people like themselves. And so that's very challenging. Even what Danelle was saying in terms of like her not knowing if she's saying the right thing. If you have people that are different, you should have someone to go to and have that frank conversation with. But most people don't have that exposure. And so if you don't have that exposure, your opinion of other races, whether it's conscious or unconscious, is based on something. It's based on what you see on TV or, right? It's external stuff. The reality is like, I was very blessed that I grew up in the Bay Area, San Francisco Bay Area, which is a very diverse area. And even from an Asian culture, I was raised with people from Thailand and from China and from Japanese. I know the differences in that culture only because I was so exposed to it. But if I wasn't, I just lump them all in one basket and just assume, right? And so I think to me, exposure, and I challenge everybody who's not a minority to make themselves a minority. Over the next 3 months, find something to put yourself out there where you are the only one, because I think you're going to have a lot of empathy when you're not in the majority. I just think you'll have a lot more empathy into how what I would experience, I guess.
100%. Don't let the media create the narrative for you.
That's
Yes.
right. Yeah.
Expose yourself to it.
That's right. Amen. Hey, we're gonna take just a quick break. Grab some water. We've been in here for a while. The guests that we have on this show are super high level, amazing superhumans, and I know that we're taking up quite a bit of time, and I appreciate you guys sharing so much time with me. But I think we're getting somewhere. I've had some revelations tonight, right? I've had some eye-opening things, and I hope that you have too. So hang tight. We'll be right back. We're going to continue this conversation as long as they'll let me, and they don't have any other trainings or meetings or appointments that they need to get to. Hang on. We'll be right back.
Can't get enough of Judge Matt and Glenn? If you're looking for more, look no further than the Lions, Sharks, and Bulls Facebook page. Head on over to facebook.com/LionsSharksBulls or search Lions, Sharks, Bulls in the Facebook search bar, and make sure to like the page and turn on notifications so you don't miss out on extra content that you may not catch during the show.
The things that are going on in the city right now, man, we can't be blind to it. And not just the people in the city of Flint, but the people in America. Flint set the tone last night on what peaceful protesting looks like. As a black officer, what I saw that day, I was disgusted. As an officer, period, I was disgusted. Justice needs to be served. As a police officer, you guys look to us as the ones that comes in your communities and keeps you safe. Why are we afraid? Great question. Why are you afraid? Because of the things that are being depicted and the things that you see on the media and the things that bad officers are doing. Yep. Right. Next. I believe that there's more good. I do. It's people out there that want to do what we do, that want to. I encourage you to stand up and come do it. The young men that look like me, I encourage you to come in and police your communities. That's the one. Say that again. The young men that look like me, I need you to come in and police your communities. And don't base it off of fear. I need the communities to uplift those young men.
Forget what your home.
I need you to uplift them so they can become something that are great. We're all gifted. Everyone that was born, we're all gifted. We all got something to give off. We don't let fear stop us. And in policing, we can't let fear dictate on how we do things and how we handle people. It's a young man that I know. His name's Inky Johnson. Look him up when you leave here. What he said touched me, and I'll share it with you. He said it in high school. He had an opportunity to drive. He brought an airplane one time. And in that airplane, he went into the bathroom. And in that bathroom, on the bottom of the sink, it had an emblem on it. And it had some writing that said, as common courtesy to the people that's coming behind you, would you wipe that sink out and leave it better than you found it? Well, it's common courtesy to the people in law enforcement. Listen up, that's coming behind me. I'm going to leave this place better than what I found it.
Yes.
So we stand together. I stand with the community. I am a product of Flint, Michigan. I am a product of Flint, Michigan. And I'm a product for the people. And I want you to let you know that I stand with you in this time, in this unrest. And what was done, I stand with you. And I will continuously fight for you. No, at any cost. Educate, educate, educate. You will always hear me say that. Once we educate our communities, then we come together for a bigger cause.
Welcome back to Lions, Sharks, and Bulls. Tonight we're talking about perspective, black versus white, a real-life conversation. And I've got with me Miss Danelle Delgado, Mrs. Kerri Wise, Shaka Dyson, I think, went to go get some water, Judge Graham, and Matt Manero. We've been on for an hour and a half now. Kerri, Danelle, Shaka, I appreciate you guys so much, being on tonight. I know that we got a lot going on. It's really, really powerful stuff. I want to talk about a couple things that we've seen on social media, a couple different posts, a couple different arguments, because I feel like I see them over and over, and I think that this is the perfect forum to address them, because it's just the six of us, right? Just the six of us sitting here having a real deal conversation. And so I want to address a couple of these things. One of them, there's an argument. You've probably seen this argument. I know I've seen it a lot of times. There's an argument that shows that the actual number of white people that have been killed by police officers and black people that have been killed by police officers, and it shows that there have been more white people killed by police officers than there have black people by police officers. And so I'll see this post, and this is people justifying that this is out of control and it's a bunch of BS. There's really no bias against black people, so on and so forth. So I want to hear your different perspectives, on where is that coming from? One, is it just, I know it's not some engineer back there that's posting this, right? Well, statistically, if you look at the numbers, right, it's somebody who's really trying to defend that black people are not being victimized. Right? That's what they're trying to defend. Where is that coming from? And, let's talk through that real quick. Who wants to jump in first? Don't all jump in at once.
When you look at it, listen, here's the good news, bad news about data. It can tell whatever story, however you cut it, right? We're all intelligent, smart people here. So the first pass on that data is, well, no shit. There's going to be more white people because we have more white people in this country, right? Then the argument is made is a percent. If you look at that, then there's more deaths from police officers for black people as a percent, right? Then you would take another cut of data and say, well, how many people are interacting that are causing crimes or with the police officers, right? That's another cut of it. And then it ultimately, if you peel the onion, you peel the onion, you peel the onion, in my opinion, it comes back to systemic racism, right? Because ultimately, that's how that plays out, right? I mean, the interactions with the police officers, the reform that needs to happen, but the data can tell whatever story, and I think unfortunately is Americans, whether you're watching Fox or CNN, you can take any data stat, and that data stat can be scripted to the narrative of the agenda that's trying to be achieved.
Yeah.
Simply put, that's exactly right.
That's exactly
I think
so for me, where do we go as Americans? Where do we go to be informed with the right facts? It's tough. Shaka, I didn't mean to cut you off, brother.
No, I was just acknowledging that you are exactly correct, man. That the data is only as good as the person who inputs it, right? So,
well, and there's a larger issue going on here, and we've been talking about deaths, and we've been focusing, so much on what happened to George Floyd. But the reality is that my reaction to this whole thing wasn't just George Floyd. It was all these other cases. Ahmaud Arbery. It was what was happened in Central Park and the lady in Central Park. It's what happened to Trayvon Martin years ago. It was like there's so many more cases beyond just this case. And the other reality with the Black men in my family, with friends and family, is many of them have faced police brutality. They just didn't die.
Right.
And it wasn't on video.
That's right.
So I'm not even focused on the deaths so much as them, their car being searched when it shouldn't have been searched, and them being taken out the car and thrown against a wall, and that's not on video. So we're here today just because it was caught on video. And what frustrates me is that if it wasn't on video, I don't know if I would have believed it, but I don't know if America would have believed it. And I'm actually just getting tired of having to explain when things that are subtle happen to me. I'm tired of having to explain it and having people tell me that, are you sure? I mean, do you really think it's because you're race? Well, maybe. I've been having that conversation for 20 years now. I'm 43 years old. Since I was an adult, I've been explaining away, trying to explain my experience.
that's right. I got to see the other angle, the other video. What happened way before it happened? Well, what about in the 8th grade when he stole some baseball cards? I mean, what? And you see it time after time after time again on video. Eric Gardner on video.
On video.
The guy who was selling CDs out front of the store, shot in the heart, on video. Philando Castile shot. I mean, he's bleeding all over the place, and his girlfriend is doing a live trying to make people aware on video. I mean, it's just time after time after time after time. So when Kerri says I'm tired of explaining it, I understand exactly what he's saying.
So Shaka, and again, that stat Glenn pulled up, I don't know the data of 2020, like when that happened, but hopefully the good news for everybody, it looked like that graph was getting lower.
It did.
Again, now, I don't know how accurate that data is, but when we start talking about reform and things, technology is a vehicle in that reform.
Yeah.
That's good, right? Good point.
The hope for humanity here is you get the reform plus the technology, and some of that starts to that graph starts to go like this.
Yeah. And people got to stop blaming everybody. Like I said, I acknowledge my white brothers and sisters like I acknowledge my black brothers and sisters. We got to stop blaming everyone.
True.
Right.
I mean, I've got a network full of white brothers and sisters that I love.
Yeah, no doubt.
That I love, right? And in other races as well. We got to stop generalizing. We have to stop stereotyping, right? We have to correct whenever there's a wrong being done or even a wrong being said. Our responsibility is to correct the perpetrator of that wrong being done or the wrong being said. We change the narrative. The one love, those of us who think the same or on the same page, we change the narrative. It's not this cop or the systemic racism or the underlying biases that exist. You and I have to actively create the real narrative, right? That that they've been creating for generations and generations. People love to bring up Martin Luther King, but that's exactly what and Martin Luther King is lying 30 miles from me here in Atlanta, and this is what he marched for. This is what he protested for. This is the equality.
Yeah.
We change the narrative, man, and until we're louder than the other people, something won't change, right?
I agree. I want to
think-
go ahead, Danelle.
Sorry. No, I just was saying it's a systemic problem that's created it. We need systemic solutions. We need a walkthrough process. We need a reset of what we're supposed to do and learn. So I think it's backtracking all of those problems that have led to that we give that same solution process to get through it. But like my phone is blowing up with people going, thank you for saying what we're afraid to, taking a hit because we don't know what to do.
Right.
We don't know what to say.
Yeah.
We weren't raised to think that. It's separating us. We're uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Glenn, another data point that's been thrown at me, and I don't know if you're going to talk about this, but I had someone online tell me, why don't I care about all the black on black crime?
Right.
And I don't know if you plan on talking about that, but it's another example, one of defensive-ness, right?
That's
but
right.
It's another example of bad data too, because let me just give you some facts. Did you know that white people, the majority of murders are committed by white people? Let me repeat that. The majority of white murders are committed by white people. And yet we only hear about black on black crime. And so when I looked up the FBI stats, it was from 2016. There's probably some more recent data, but 90% of black murders were committed by black people. So there is a black on black crime problem. 82% of white murders were committed by white people.
Right.
People kill people that they're in relationships with, and a lot of times it's the same race, right? So
in proximity to,
and they're in proximity to
same neighborhood, all that stuff.
So we've taken that stat, and that person turned it on me to say, why don't you care about black on black crime?
Right.
When the reality is we have white on white crime problem too.
Yeah, no doubt.
And there is a difference between a trusted institution killing a citizen and two gang members in Chicago killing each other. There's a big difference in my mind. And so that's the kind of data and narrative that is thrown out with little education behind the actual facts.
And I think
But
Danelle is spot
hit
on,
on
when she's hitting it, Danelle's talking about, as far as the education, what does that process look like? And as she's saying that, I'm thinking through, like, there is none, right? There's no process because everyone's afraid. Now I understand, right? My white friends have made this clear to me this last week. Now I understand that everyone's afraid they're going to offend me if they try to talk to me. So what's happened is we've created environments where nobody feels safe to discuss it. Therefore, there's zero education on it, and everyone grows up around their own types, right? Their own economics and all of that stuff, and they stay there. They continue to perpetuate that, and we just basically go like this the whole way. We're just getting further and further apart as more and more years goes by. So to reverse engineer that, it's really got to start with getting comfortable talking about the getting our children comfortable talking about it earlier. That's going to be the key, right? Get our children to talk about it earlier and open and freely, and let white people know that it's okay to not understand, and let black people know that it's okay to not understand. Right? We'll talk about anything else. We teach the uncomfortable stuff, like sex ed in school, right? Really uncomfortable when your teacher's talking about that stuff, right? But we do it because we know these kids.
Really?
Hey, but Glenn, when does that stop? Right? I mean, we talked off air when we were coming back. You're seeing so much biracial relationships and children, right? So what does America look like in 20 years? right? I mean, we've always been a melting pot, but Danelle, Glenn, there's biracial things, in your families. Does that start to change the fabric just by how human beings are interacting together?
Well, Judge,
Right? I mean, because Glenn, you're half white, half black.
yeah.
Your kids are a fourth. I mean, when does race based on love start to change?
Well, I think I would love to say that because we are blending more and more children are mixed, I would love to say that over time this will evolve and wear itself out. But the reality is, and we touched on this a little bit earlier, when the skin is brown, they still identify. If it falls right into that same spot, right? Like my daughter Kira, she's 21. She doesn't even really have like brown skin, but she has brown features, right? She has brown features, and so she'll identify herself that way, and she feels at times less than. She feels at times that she's being judged. She feels all of those things, right? She systematically just feels that way because she doesn't have blonde hair, blue eyes, or blonde hair, green eyes, or because she doesn't look like everybody else. And that's the thing, right? When you're a kid, you want to fit in. That's what we all fight to do. We fight to fit in, right? Like we can all tell stories, I'm sure, of our childhood of where we felt left out, or we fought to be a part of the in crowd, the cool kids, right? We all want that. And when you are a person of color, that's constant. That's 24/7 that you don't feel like you fit in, right? And so I don't know, Judge, how long it's going to take. I think that just us blending and making, by the way, the most beautiful children on the planet. No offense against your white children, but some mixed children, bro. I'm telling you, they're just
Sounds racist, Glenn. Sounds racist.
Yes, that sounds biased.
It is biased. I have 7 of them. All right. When you have 8 children, then we can talk about that. But but no, man. I wish that would just solve it over time. But really, it's going to come down to open conversations, education. We have to have a plan. It has to be systematic. It has to start at a very young age. And like we touched on earlier, start spending time in other cultures and around other people. That's going to be a huge part of it. We can't keep walking around with our blinders on, only hanging out with people like us. Matt, looks like you're moving around up there.
Well, I mean, you guys might consider me a selfish devil for saying this. I'm still trying to write down my 10 friends that Kerri told me to write down. Only at 3. What does that say about me? I'm stuck at 3. Judge Grant was first. My brother-in-law was second. And that's not as far as I got. Me, I was third. I wrote my own name down.
You're probably better off than most of us then. You have no friends.
Yeah, well, when you
that's a whole other episode.
Yeah, I would say I've noticed as you climb a little bit higher and you really stick to your core values, it's hard to find people that you can run with. I've definitely noticed that. I think we should probably wind this thing down. We've gone an hour and 45 minutes, which I truly appreciate. I want to touch on, well, which one? I could go one way or the other. Actually, Shaka, I didn't tell you I was going to do this, but I'm going to bring up your post real quick because I want to talk about this, all right? So Shaka made this post. It says, "This week continues to pull the curtain back on some of the undercover racists and bigots on my friends list. Some I already knew about. My eyes aren't wide shut. I just know how to maneuver. But I'm surprised by some others I see." When I saw this post, I wanted to know, Shaka, like, what are you seeing that's making you feel that way?
Yeah, so I'm friends with lots and lots and lots of people doesn't mean that I'm friends with lots and lots and lots of people. It just means that I know them virtually through the social media aspects, right?
Sure.
Some of the people that I am referring to, I know in real life, though. And it's one thing the way they act around me, and then it's one thing the way they act away from me in the comfort of their own home and in front of their keyboard, right? Mm-hmm. So it's just the certain things that are easy to pick up on, right? The downplay of the Black Lives Matter because it's all bullshit and all lives matter and the thugs and we all should shoot them all. And these are people who, in my face, though, are cordial, nice business people, right? Or the people who.
Well, I want to do this. I want to do this to like make a list. So white people, if you don't go on and post about the All Lives Matter right now. Okay, let's just not do that. It doesn't. I
gotta go change my Facebook. Hold on. No.
It hurt. It hurts. It causes. It's offensive.
Glenn, can I give an analogy just to make that really clear?
Yes.
My house is on fire right now.
Yes.
Instead of you addressing my house, you tell me that all houses matter.
Right.
My house is on fire, and you're to console me, you tell me all houses matter. That's what you're doing.
Yeah.
Right.
In this time, when you post
right now, right.
all lives matter. In
right
this
now.
moment, that's what you're saying.
So rule number 1, don't do that. Shaka Dyson.
And if every time you refer to an African American, you refer to him as a thug, or Barack Obama is a Chicago thug, or Colin Kaepernick, they should feed him to the wolves. Just certain things like that.
Yeah.
Like I said, my eyes aren't wide shut. I know how to maneuver. I know how to be respectful and appreciative and professional. Like the best of them, right? It doesn't mean that I don't know. It just means that I file it away and I know how to act accordingly.
Yeah,
that's what
I don't get it, Shaka. What I don't get what you mean by that. Like someone posts something and then you make the interpretation of their level of friendship. I don't get it.
Yeah. So what happens is, man, is that you try to take people for face value, especially if you know them in real life. You try to take them at face value, or you try to take them at how you interact with them on social media. Of course, they don't call me the things that they say about people who are like me to me, right? So what they do is they say them on other threads, or they may make private posts or things of that nature that I might happen to see. And so it wasn't meant for me to see, but I just may happen to see it. And instead of address it, what I do is I file it away and I act accordingly. Once I figure out a person is a bigot, then okay, I act accordingly. Once I figure out a person is a racist, okay, I act accordingly. Once I figure out a person is authentic and is who they are and treats me with brotherly love the way that I treat them, then of course that interaction is going to be different. So that's what that's meant for. That's why I put that there. My eyes are wide shut. And it's subjects like this that will pull the curtain back on how people really feel on the inside.
Yeah.
Right? If everything's cool, calm, and collective, because they don't see it, it's out of sight, out of mind, then they act normal. But you allow something like this to pop up on TV, and it's not empathy for the victim, but I got to see 19 different videos. I got to figure out what happened before and after, right?
Right.
Colin Kaepernick is a thug, etc. It's just those type of examples. So I treat people accordingly, man, and certain issues like this, unfortunately, brings out people's real characters. And so I see it. And my way of maneuvering is to treat them polished, professional, respectful, but I always know. So I know how to interact with them.
Yeah. So ultimately, the generalizations, where they're just rolling in, they're all thugs, right? Those looters are all thugs. Those looters are all gangsters, whatever words they're particularly using. Just generalizing. Yeah, Chicago. Nobody wants to be. Let me change the word. It's not just generalization. It's dehumanization. When you start to take away the human element of any aspect, when you're posting and you take away the human element, feed them to the wolves, right? Rip them apart. I've heard a friend of mine was really upset because a friend of his, they were really good friends. They were sitting around at a campfire. They were drinking some beers and they were joking and having fun. And his buddy said, man, this was not during this particular situation, but they were talking about some dude. And he said, man, if anybody would have ever done that to me, I would have Rodney King'd him. And my buddy was like, whoa, 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 whoa. Right?
Yeah.
And he and they were friends. This guy was good friends. He wasn't a racist. But when we say things that generalize and that hit on those areas that dehumanize people, that's when it gets really offensive, man.
Here's a real subtle example. Yesterday was Tuesday, so it's the Blackout Tuesday thing for those who participated.
Right.
They blacked out their profile.
Right.
Well, I had people who I know in real life and considered friends, but guess what? They put up a whiteout instead of the black guys. Why? It's just small, subtle things. It doesn't affect me.
Yeah.
I'm
It
good.
doesn't seem subtle to me.
You know what?
Yeah, but
I gotta tell you this though. Go ahead, Shaka.
No, go ahead,
Finish.
Danelle.
yeah, go ahead.
Am I slowing? I think I'm frozen.
No,
No, you're okay. We can hear you. We can hear you.
You can hear me?
Yes.
Yeah. No, I definitely think, because I saw it and I called attention to some of them yesterday who had put the white, and it was a family who was supporting their spouse who was a police officer. And I was like, and I called attention to it and I go, hold up. I go, you're not, we're confused. So, but one thing I want to ask, because I just went back and read my post a couple days ago, Shaka, and it might have offended you when I just didn't know because I hadn't had this conversation with you. So I just fixed it. And so I want to challenge some of that is how we're raised and what we're know. I would never think that I said that, but because I'm trying to like dabble and tiptoe around the idea, I would just ask my Black friends for extra grace to speak to me with it, to understand that I would never want to do that, trying to support everybody and give some extra grace, not frustration, not because I would hear you say that and go, was I one that you said, I see you? And I was like, I'm like,
right.
But Danelle,
extra grace.
But Danelle, just to be clear, I've had some friends put all lives matter. I don't think that's what Shock is talking about in terms of like the friends.
It's more
that
direct.
I mean, it's more like
I
put all lives matter. You're not getting deleted off of my Facebook,
Right.
but I will likely send you a private message just to clarify.
And what I'm speaking about is not this specific incident.
Yes.
What I'm speaking about is just a long history. I've been connected to people for years and years and years that I've known this about. I just act accordingly. I'm good.
And here's one thing I know, and I want to make this real clear on here. I know that Black people across America, when I saw that freaking video, right? When I saw that video, it first popped up in my thing, and I'm watching it, and I'm going, let him up. Somebody, get in there, grab him. I know I had that experience. I know Matt Manero had that same experience. He expressed it to us last week. I think that black, white, green, purple, red, what we watched, I think hurt and was painful through the hearts of 98% of Americans. I do believe that. And it's opened up some incredible conversations, and I just want everyone to know that I think everyone is struggling with this. Does that make sense? Like, it's not just Black people right now are being victims. So to my Black friends, I want to say our white friends can't wrap their head around this particular event either, and they're shocked by it. And I like that Danelle said a little extra grace. I think that's valuable and important right now, that we all give each other a little extra grace. We've been pent up for months in this country. We've been pent up. Black people there's been civil injustices for a very, 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 very long time. The economy's just in a weird place. Everybody's a little bit on edge, right? Everybody's a little bit on edge. So instead of jumping into these battles on social, instead of increasing violence against one another, instead of feeding the division, do me a favor. Call your friends. Ask them if they'll sit with you for 2 hours in a circle. Have a conversation with the Shakas and the Kerris and the Danelles and the Matts and the judges in your life. Have a little bit of grace. Ask questions. Don't be afraid. Don't be ashamed. Don't be embarrassed. Know that we're all feeling things right now. And the best way for us to handle it is the way that we've handled it tonight. Matt Manero, thank you so much for spending 2 hours with me. Danelle Delgado, you are the best. I absolutely love you. Kerri Wise, thank you so much from sunny California. You are such a champion, and I can't wait to get back on the road and be able to see you often again. Judge Graham, I love you, my man. Thank you for impacting and changing my life from the first moment that we connected. It's always been great. And Shaka Dyson, you are an crazy, amazing, passionate human that I aspire to be like, man. So I absolutely love all of you. If you'd like, I'll give you one last opportunity to say goodbye, and then I'm going to let everybody go so we can go to bed. Anybody got anything else to say?
I just appreciate.
Yeah. Go ahead, Graham.
Yeah, I was just going to say I appreciate the vulnerability, the compassion, the honesty of this group. The professionalism, and it was great dialogue. So I really appreciate being a part of it, and thank you all.
Yeah, love you, my man.
Amen, man. And listen, it's one love. That's the message. I hope that comes from this tonight. One love, man. The small percentage of people who are out there doing the bad things will not outshine and won't be heard over all of us, my white brothers and sisters, my black brothers and sisters, and everybody from every race, man. We can overcome everything. If we do it together and we act like it and we're all on the same page, man, all of us together, we can overcome everything. I love all of you, for real. One love.
That's right.
100.
And I would just add that while this whole experience watching George Floyd and that murder was frustrating, the beauty of all of this is I have never been called, text, emailed, by many of which of my white friends have reached out to me more than ever. And it's been a beautiful thing to have people call me, check on me, want to reach out and be an ally, and to see people speak out against this. So I think George Floyd did not die in vain, because I think he has created a movement across all races.
Amen.
I hope so.
Amen.
Danelle or Matt? Danelle, we can't hear you.
Thank you. I want to say thank you. I learned tonight I can do better. I need to educate my children and everybody who is like that. And I learned, and thank you for your grace and teaching, and that I could share my naivete and learn from it. So I love you guys, all of you, very, very much, all of you.
Yeah,
Love
we
you
love
back.
you too, so very much. Manero?
Super job, Glenn. Thank you for bringing it out and talking about it and having the courage to do it. I loved it tonight. Thanks, everybody. Wonderful to meet y'all.
Man,
You
thanks,
too,
man.
man.
Good to
are
meet
the
you,
best.
Matt. And you have two friends now, Matt.
That's right.
Yo, it's fun.
Hey, that's going to wrap up Lions, Sharks, and Bulls. Next week, we're going to have Patrick Bet-David is going to be on Lions, Sharks, and Bulls. If you don't know who that is, I don't know what rock you've been sleeping under, but you better go look him up, because he is absolutely incredible. He's going to be on Lions, Sharks, Bulls next week. If you haven't done so, make sure you share this out, tag some friends. It was a great conversation. It was a two-parter, so we did one episode and we did another episode, both about an hour long. So if you missed the first one, go back and watch that. If this is the second one and you're on a replay or something, there's multiple of them out there. But most importantly, I beg of you, with patience and grace and mercy and understanding, get to know and love the differences between you and the people around you. We are it is a beautiful, beautiful thing. This life, this existence, this planet we live on. When we connect through our differences, it is so incredibly powerful. It puts together an amazing puzzle, this mosaic That is one of the most beautiful aspects of our world. So let's take this opportunity. It might be our last one. Let's take this opportunity to really connect through those differences, find the beauty that's in them, have those tough, really tough conversations, and then do me a favor and come back here next week, and we'll do this all over again, a little bit different with Mr. Patrick Bet David. Love you guys. Have an incredible night, and we will see you on Lions, Sharks, and Bulls.